Hey, Conor here. What do you do when you have 30 minutes of spare time? So here today in the square of Almagro, about 2 hours south of Madrid, here in central Spain, Castilla-La Mancha, and stopping here on a road trip back from Portugal. Question for you, what do you do when you have 30 minutes of spare time? When you find the 30 minutes spare, maybe a Zoom call get cancelled, and highly productive people, what they typically do with 30 minutes of spare time is the next task. They get on with the work. And Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, one of the habits is called Sharpen the Saw. And in the book, he tells the story of two woodsmen cutting down trees. And one just saws and saws and saws. And the other, every couple of hours, he stops, sits down, and it looks like he's resting. But what he's doing is sharpening the metal on his saw. And the one that takes time to sharpen the saw, to make sure that his tools are in good condition, ends up cutting down more trees. And for us, very often busy, productive, highly achievement-oriented people, we're so busy cutting down trees, we don't stop to think about sharpening our saw. And sometimes our saw is not a metal blade, it's our skills, it's our motivation, it's remembering why we do what we do, it's learning something, it's perhaps even taking a walk and just thinking, is what I'm doing giving me the results that I'm wanting? Are the people I'm working with, who can I help? Who can help me? And I find there's a couple of things that I try to do in the 30 minutes of spare time, if such a thing exists. You know, for me, making these videos is one powerful use of spare time, but I will tend to read things and make notes in Evernote, jot down ideas that can turn into videos. And I've often found that when I get hooked on a Netflix series, my video quality, the ideas I have for videos really goes down, because all those spare 30 minutes are going to watch the next Netflix episode. But this question, what do you do when you have 30 minutes of spare time? How can you not just do the next task, but stop and use it to sharpen the saw? Use it to think about where you're going. Use it to think about whether you're heading in the right direction. And for me, another story that I remember from several years ago, my brother and myself, when my father was celebrating a birthday, we were in France. And right next to where we were staying was a river. And every so often in the afternoons, my brother and myself would take an inflatable toy from the pool, march up about a mile up the river, launch ourselves into the river and just float down over the course of 15 minutes, floating down the river, letting the current take us. And on one particular time, my brother launched about a meter to the left of where I launched on the bank. And he caught a fast current. And the fast current of the river took him very quickly down to the dam by the bridge where we would get out. And it took me full 15 minutes more than my brother, even though we launched at about the same time. And it struck me that if I had spent all that time paddling desperately in the direction of the river, it would have made very little difference in whether I had arrived at the same time, made the same progress as my brother. If I'd looked up and seen the current, seen that the current just a couple of yards to my left was fast flowing, and instead of paddling furiously in the direction of the river, I'd noticed that there's a current just over there that's flowing a lot faster, and moved over into that channel, I would have sped up massively. And I think sharpen the saw is the metaphor. The other is find the fast flowing part of the river. In our careers, there are people in the fast flowing part of the river. There are activities and places to be, which is the fast-flowing part of the river. So one of the things to do when you have 30 minutes of spare time is just look up and think, where is the fast-flowing part of the river? What are the tasks? Where is the place? Who are the people that if I'm connected to, I'm engaged with? That's the fast-flowing part of the river. Now, I suspect anyone who's jumped onto the generative AI bandwagon in the last year, that was shifting. If you were just computer science and you moved to AI, if you were in IT and you did something around AI, I bet that was a jumping into the fast flowing part of the river. that bandwagon may well have left, but I think AI is going to have a big impact over the next few decades on humanity and organizations and how we do work and how we get work done and how education happens. So anyway, reflection. I hope you're not just diving into the next task when you find you have 30 minutes of free time. So have a good one. It's from Almagro, Castilla-La Mancha.